The Crunchwrap Supreme is genuinely pretty awesome. And you know, it's funny. As a kid, I'd go to Taco Bell all the time because Taco Bell's a fast food joint just like any other fast food place out there, but they do one really great thing in particular, their seasoning. They haven't forgotten to season their meat. And there's so many fast food places out there that have decent food, but they just forget that seasoning. And without it, food is bland and sad. But when I look across that entire Taco Bell menu, there's one thing that sticks out in particular. Of course, you got your regular soft tacos. Then they have all those Dorito, nacho things that I don't even understand at all. I've never had it, but I've also heard of the cheesy gordita crunch, and I don't even want to try to guess what that is. You can even get nachos if you want. But what stands out to me is the Crunchwrap Supreme. I love quesadillas, I love tacos, I love burritos, I love burrito bowls. I also love different textures and different flavors and mixing hot and cold when it comes to food. And the Crunchwrap Supreme does all of that. But as always, we have a little bit of a twist because today we're using a Takamori Drunken Wagyu tri-tip. As you can probably see, this bad boy comes straight from Japan. And this beauty right here retails for about $700. Now, we're still gonna be making that same amazing Crunchwrap Supreme, but this is just gonna help us step up our game a little bit when it comes to the beef department. So if you wanna make this, follow along in the same video. Substitute in whatever type of ground beef you want. You don't have to use Wagyu. You can even use ground chicken, ground turkey, whatever you like. But before we begin, you know I have to give this thing a good spank. Whoa, what are you doing? You're fired. What are you doing? But before we begin, let's head to Taco Bell where we're gonna grab ourselves a couple of fresh Crunchwrap Supremes. Live Mas, baby. All right, we are on our way to Taco Bell. I'm actually pretty excited because, to be honest, I too like the Crunchwrap Supreme, so I'm gonna get a couple of them. We'll be there in a few minutes. And here we are, we pulled up to Taco Bell. It's time to get a couple of these Crunchwrap Supremes. Looks like a great location here. We got a KFC, if you look right up in the front there. Check that out, can you see that? It's time for some Taco Bell. You can see the last person's order. Looks like a solid order.
Hi, how can I help you?
Oh, hi, how are you? Oh, could I just please do 3 Crunchwrap Supremes? Oh, shoot. Sorry. Hit the edge there a little bit. Not good. Thank you so much. Just ran my car against the edge of this Taco Bell. Not ideal, everybody. It's not been a good week for me. Have a great day. Live Mas. Saying I live by. All right, we're on the same bridge coming back now, and I got the Crunchwrap Supremes. Look at that. It's a big, nice bag, sealed just for me. You know what? I'm happy right now. I'm happy. We're gonna head back. We're gonna crush the heck out of this Crunchwrap Supreme. I've made these bad boys before. Maybe one of the best things I've made in the kitchen. Oh, I don't know what, sorry. We have officially made it back with our Taco Bell. I did not order it ahead. In fact, I actually ran my car into the side of their drive-thru. But the important thing here is that we got the Crunchwrap Supremes. Now, I do want to quickly take these out and check out what we got in the bag. They only put mild salsa in there. They absolutely assumed what I would want. And I hate to say it, but they were right. Although, in a video a while back, there was a top comment saying that I should build up my spice tolerance. So that's why today we got a blend of cheese that has some jalapeno in there. So that means bye-bye to these mild sauces for today. In terms of my 3 Crunchwrap Supremes, I'm pretty dang excited given how much I really like these. And I think enough time has gone by that we've lost that crunch. It's more of just a wrap Supreme at this point. But I've gotten a pretty good look at what it is, and I'm ready to make my own. Let's start with our trusty old tri-tip. Now, this right here is called Drunken Wagyu because their feed is made from a byproduct of a specific type of sake. I actually love that creativity with flavor that the farmers are using to get such incredibly well-flavored beef. This actually won the award for fat quality in the 2012 Wagyu Olympics. And yeah, I'm not joking, that's a real thing. Now, this fat piece of Wagyu, as usual, is from the Wagyu shop, and they always help me get these amazing things from Japan. So I appreciate you guys. There is absolutely zero shot that I can sear this whole thing off in one pan, but I'm actually gonna grind it up anyways for our Crunchwrap Supreme. So to start, I'm gonna make a nice big carving right through the middle of our tri-tip, breaking that apart and opening it up. Now check out that marbling. It is completely beyond gorgeous. And from the outside, you wouldn't be able to tell that something like this is so beautiful. Now, because of how fatty this is, I put some gloves on so my hands aren't melting this as quickly. I'm gonna carve off some of that fat cap on the top here because we can't possibly have this much fat in our beef. All this fat I can set aside and melt down for something delicious. I'll continue carving a little bit of the fat off the sides here until I have what's gonna give me a bit of a leaner final product. A lot of this fat will come off fairly easily if I just lift and pull on it. Now, once I got into a nice, more trimmed down piece of beef here, I can then begin to cut this into nice cubes, almost as if I'm just cutting this into into nice steaks. You see, because this Wagyu has so much natural fat in it, I don't really need to blend in additional fat when I go to turn this into ground beef in a moment. This will have more than enough fat to give us an amazing, amazing blend. To set up for grinding our meat, I've just taken our meat grinder attachment out of the freezer after letting it sit in there overnight. You want this to be extremely cold because all of that friction and grinding in there is gonna mess with things. At this point, we're ready to start grinding our meat. So we'll drop it in and watch our incredible ground meat come out the other end. You'll notice right away that having this end piece cold is gonna help immensely with the texture of the meat that comes out on the other side. You can also see how well it's mixed between fat and beef. Once you finish grinding, scrape off the last little bits of beef there, and then we'll let this bowl rest in the fridge for a short bit to let it firm up a little bit before cooking. While we let our meat rest, we have here some corn tortillas for street tacos. I don't know what it is, but I find these to be incredibly, incredibly cute. And I'm a big, big fan of street tacos. For now, we're gonna spread a couple of these across our board because these are gonna give us the crunch in Crunchwrap Supreme. Once these are evenly all spread across a baking sheet, preferably with a wire rack, which will give you more even crispiness, I'm gonna go over the top of them with just a tad bit of olive oil, then just a little touch of fresh cracked pepper, and a generous little handful of salt. We're always all about flavor, so you need to make sure every step of the way you're seasoning properly. At this point, we're gonna toss these in a 350-degree oven until they're nice and golden brown and crispy. At this point, into the oven they go. My heat tolerance, next level, baby. Now let's put together some of our accoutrements. Oh, you good? Were you falling over? Are you drinking on the job again? You're fired. What are you doing? You're fired. First, let's chop up a few Roma tomatoes. Now, these are gonna get a little bit juicy in the middle. As you can see here with this piece, if I give it a little bit of a squeeze, it's gonna juice all over the place. So you typically wanna pull those middle parts out. Then we're gonna cut around the outside like that, just so that we can get some solid tomato flavor without too much liquid running all over our Crunchwrap Supreme. Because again, we want a Crunchwrap Supreme, not a Wrap Supreme like Taco Bell seems to have. We need that crunch. We'll chop up a few of these tomatoes into little cubes, which we'll then add to a bowl of leftover lettuce. We're not trying to waste in this household, okay? Once our tomatoes are chopped up and in our bowl, I'm gonna hit them with just a little bit of salt because you always wanna salt raw tomatoes. Brings out all that delicious juice and flavor. I'll rest this in the fridge until we're ready. Now for our taco seasoning before we cook that beef. A general rule of thumb is the base is always gonna be chili powder. If you smell some chili powder, you'll pretty much immediately smell taco seasoning. They're fairly synonymous. Next, we'll go in with some onion powder and garlic powder, just a little blend I have. Then just a light touch of crushed red pepper flakes, because again, I know you want me to build my spice tolerance, so this will get us a little bit of the way there. Then a little dash of smoked paprika. I always go for smoked over regular. It just has that extra bit of flavor that I love. And then some general taco seasoning, which has some oregano, some ground cumin, sea salt, black pepper, and last but not least, I'll freshly crack some black pepper right into our blend as well. At this point, our taco seasoning is complete and we can pulse it up. Now what we have right here is a carbon steel pan. So yeah, it looks dirty, but that's the patina that's built up over time. First, I'll drop down my beef. I want to get it a little bit crispy here. And you'll notice I didn't need any fat because it's already so fatty that it lubes itself up the second you drop it in the pan. It's only been a few seconds here and look how much fat has already formed. Now at this point, we're gonna take advantage of how much fat is in here and start sprinkling in our taco seasoning. All of that liquid will help to carry the seasoning around and absorb it evenly throughout the mixture. Once we've added in a little bit of our seasoning, let's give it a first little mix around. Once we start to get some crispy bottoms on our beef here, I'm gonna use a metal spatula to dig some of that off our pan. And you can already see some of those crackly crispy bits. When our beef is done, we'll turn off the heat, then drain off some of our fat into a bowl, which we're later gonna use to toast the Crunchwrap Supremes and seal them. We might as well keep all this beef Wagyu flavor throughout the remainder of the recipe. Once your beef has been dried off a little bit, reserve that off to the side in a bowl. Time to take out our crunchies. Once our crispy taco shells are done, let's peel off some of the ones on the top and lay them all out to rest. I wasn't messing around when I said we really needed to put the crunch in Crunchwrap today. So listen. Everybody, it's the moment you've all been waiting for. It's time to assemble. Right here, I've got these big, large burrito flour tortillas. Cut the cans for a sec. Yeah. Woo! To start our assembly, we're gonna go on with a little bit of our shredded lettuce. I go on with this first because it's not gonna make the edge of our Crunchwrap soggy. Next, I'm gonna go on with some of my beautiful Wagyu beef. Try not to go too crazy when filling up your Crunchwrap Supreme because you need to fold it up at the end. At this point, go on with a little bit of your tomato, a nice little touch of your sour cream, a little layer of nacho cheese, and of course, some of that cheese that has jalapeno in there. In fact, I might just take a little taste for myself. I need to be stronger. I need to handle spice. Last but not least, of course, is when we put the crunch in Crunchwrap Supreme. Now, before you roll it up, you have to do one more thing. Take another tortilla, then cut something out about the size of that middle piece, and place that right over your crunchy piece. It covers it up perfectly. And if you want, you can just rip a few scraps to do this. Then you're gonna slowly wrap from the edges out, turning as you go, folding down, and then folding it back over to get these nice little creases. Keep pressing down, folding, and spinning. If you find good tortillas, they shouldn't crack or break on you all that much. To be honest, I always get a little bit confused about the last fold. But at this point, your first Crunchwrap Supreme is ready to cook, and you can leave it off to the side for a moment and build out a few. I'm really loading up this last bad boy here. I just wanna make sure it's nice and full of delicious, delicious things. Spread evenly across the top, then a generous heap of that cheese that's gonna hold all the nacho cheese together, then our nice piece of crunch, our soft little cover, and to finish it off, a good wrapping that's gonna hold it all together. You know, it makes me think of the fact that I've been to burrito places before where they put such a shocking amount of food inside the burrito. Because usually restaurants in general can try to be pretty skimpy with their food. But when it does, it's so funny to watch someone try to battle all of that stuff inside this one little wrap. Once it's all nice and wrapped up, I'll immediately flip it over and place it on the board. To cook these crunch wraps, we're gonna start by adding a little bit of the Wagyu fat right into the middle of our pan. Once that fat begins to get hot, we'll place the crunch wrap down, spin it around a little bit to make sure it's coated evenly, and then let it cook over medium-low heat. You can play around with a few different things. Try placing a lid over the top and seeing if it gets you a softer, chewier final product. Try cooking it without the lid. Try playing with different temperatures, but be patient and let it get that nice golden brown crust that seals the whole thing together. Some might say that I burnt the first one here. Do I call that burn? Yeah, a little bit. But my honest answer is that if I was choosing between this one and this one, which is technically perfectly toasted around the edges, I think I'd choose this one right here. That char starts to have a lot more flavor. Once all your Crunchwrap Supremes are done, place them off to the side. We really do have quite a funny transition here from lightly toasted all the way to maybe possibly burnt. But they're all gonna be equally delicious. So let's slice a few open and check them out. Now I figure we do the crunch test on what's certainly the burnt one. First, listen. I mean, obviously we have that crispy edge on all of them, but does our Crunchwrap make a crunch when we cut through it? Let's find out. Ooh! So here we have the Crunchwrap Supreme from Taco Bell. You're seeing it here in action. I'm gonna cut this bad boy open right in front of your eyes. And this is what we've got. The first thing I wanna say is, are you freaking kidding me? Taco Bell, what the are we doing over there, guys? Where's the meat? Seriously, this looks like a turkey sandwich from the cafeteria. What is this? What is this? Do you know what this is? What the hell is this? Look at the meat.
What is this?
Sorry, the cameras aren't gonna work. These lenses aren't gonna work. We need a telescope to see the meat. Guys, come on. Seriously, there is little to no beef in this one. So I wanna start by saying this. This is on the spectrum of Taco Bell experiences I've had. This is on the lower end, okay? This is not a Crunchwrap Supreme. This is a slimmed down lettuce wrap. There's no Supreme in this, and there's no crunch either. This is as flexible as, nope, I'm just not even gonna say it. Wow, okay. And then let me just bring over this fat boy that I literally just picked up from over there. This is one of our guys. Look at all the beef in there, okay? We didn't hold back at all. Look at all the cheese drooping all the edges. I mean, come on, guys. Work with me here. I do owe it to Taco Bell to take a bite, so let's just take a little nugget of a bite here. Most of it doesn't even have any meat. If I bite in the middle, I'm not gonna get any meat. Let me get some meat, okay? I see where the crunch was supposed to be. It's supposed to be right here. So I'm not gonna take away too many points for there being no crunch because we waited a little too long to try it. With that said, there is quite literally zero meat in that Crunchwrap Supreme. In fact, I'll grab another of theirs just to show you. One slice from each of the Crunch Wraps that we bought, and there's no beef in there. They're so flat. Now we're gonna try ours. That's crazy. I mean, this one's honestly not fair. We can put Wagyu aside for a second. Whatever hamburger beef, whatever I could possibly use here, I'd at least put a little bit in there. And there's not even a single line in the Crunchwrap Supreme from Taco Bell. Now this is seriously fantastic, okay? The seasoning, on point. It is so cheesy, it is so creamy. It's warm inside, it's got that crispy edge and it's got that nice crunch without really overwhelming you. You're not eating a bag of chips here. The Wagyu beef is of course fantastic, but more importantly, we've seasoned it extremely well here. Highly recommend making your own Crunchwrap Supremes. You will not be upset for taking the little bit of time that it takes to make your own. Now with that said, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like the video, because I mean, come on, if you're watching them every time, you clearly like them to some extent, so why not just hit the like button? It helps us out a ton, and it's a super simple thing to do for you if you like them. Otherwise, make sure you smash that subscribe button and the little notifications icon. And in the meantime, I'll see you on the flippity flip.